What's up, y'all, and welcome to the next episode of KIO Macro. We got JT.
How are
back.
they here if it's the next episode already?
I don't know, but we're here.
How'd you get here?
We got JT back. I'm not sure if I'm happy about it now. No, I'm just kidding.
Jeez.
And then we got Isaac and a special guest, his mustache. Isaac and Stash, how y'all doing?
We're both doing very well. Actually, it was here in the last episode, but we lost Big Beard. So we're actually down one guest.
JT, how you doing, man?
I'm pretty good.
Yeah, JT got, so this shirt, it can actually stretch a mile to the left and right. He was gonna wear it to the club the other night, but I told him, you might not want to do that.
It's a pretty good shirt.
So guys, today, as always, we're gonna give you our updated views on the markets. We got JT back, so we'll be able to dive into more macro. So y'all ready to jump into it?
Let's do it.
All right, guys. So per usual, starting with the central bank balance sheet, they throwing bonds off. They throwing them off. They not just offloading them.
So with them rolling bonds off of their balance sheet, this would be somewhat temporary. Eventually, they're going to start buying bonds again and adding them. The whole goal is to rid the balance sheet of other securities, such as mortgage-backed securities, but they want to actually maintain a base of treasuries on the balance sheet just in case, for a lot of reasons for the future. But this chart is temporary. It's not going to look like this forever. Eventually, we're going to see it start going back to the upside because it's the Federal Reserve. They will never not be in a position to where they aren't backstopping banks and other institutions that basically leverage themselves up on bonds. So yeah, that should start moving back up. I don't know when, but we want to get down to a somewhat acceptable level, probably below 4.5 trillion or something like that.
Pre-COVID levels around right here.
Pretty much, yeah, pre-COVID levels, exactly. And eventually, either it's going to level off and consolidate for a good while. That's barring we don't see any like black swan event that forces them to start buying treasuries again. But yeah, so they are rolling them off. They're letting them mature. They're not really selling. They're just letting them mature and not reinvesting. But it is temporary.
You got gold at all-time highs. I'm not surprised given the geopolitical conflict. We talked about that last week. You got the S&P dropping. I'm actually open up the weekly chart. So from high to low, the S&P dropped almost 6%. And that's a lot for the S&P. We haven't had a dip like that since last September. So, we're still on top of this channel. It could just be, we're retesting the top of this channel so we can go higher. If we start to get inside or go below this 62, aka this trend line, if we drop below this and test it as a resistance, that'd be a little cause for concern for me.
I think the market is really thinking that there's a larger possibility that the Federal Reserve won't cut rates. And so we've been seeing that reflect in major indices. And also a little pulling from the equities market is because yields have been elevated. Some people are expecting 5.5% on the 10-year, for example. I don't know if it'll get that high, but I do think it'll remain elevated. And so once again, I think this would be more of a consolidatory. Is consolidatory a word?
I don't know, but we'll go with it.
You know what? It'll consolidate here for a while unless something happened which causes the market to have a crazy pullback. Other than that, this is another thing that wouldn't be cause for concern if you're trying to figure out if you should pull out of markets or not.
Yeah, I wouldn't be getting concerned until we're below this trend line, personally, and below our 200-day and our 62. We look at the Dow, not much has changed there. The NASDAQ has had a pretty big dip. Again, biggest dip that we've had since September. And if we look at Apple, we're kind of just consolidating around previous all-time high levels. It looks like this is going to be like the new support level. Looks like right now. Could be wrong. You never know. And then if you look at the Tesla chart, you can see that we've kind of been breaking down pretty heavily. What's going on with Tesla, y'all?
Man, it's kind of been like a rough one for Elon in the past. We live in San Francisco. So one thing that I've noticed, I just moved here, just over a month ago. And man, people hate Elon Musk here. Like that's one thing that I've really noticed. They don't like him unless they drive a Tesla. Literally, that's it. Other than that, everyone hates him. And it's kind of a weird phenomena. And it's kind of like manifesting itself in what's happening with Tesla. So there was a recall with the Cybertrucks because there's like, when you go to accelerate your car, there's like a metal sheet over the accelerator. And there was like a guy, he recorded a video. He was driving on the freeway. He like floored it. I don't know if he floored it or what his situation was, but the pedal got stuck because that metal sheet is super cheap and it came off and it didn't allow the throttle to go back up. And so next thing you know, he's going like 120 on the freeway and he couldn't slow down. So he had to hold the brake the entire time and eventually came to a stop, luckily.
Oh, he didn't crash.
No, he didn't crash. Even if he did, you got to assume he would have been all right in the Cybertruck. But it's like, fuck, at this point, you never know. That mug might have folded like a cheesecake. I don't even know if cheesecake folds. But anyway, so every single Tesla Cybertruck has been recalled. Every single one. So that was a hit to their stock price. Another thing is that they're trying to cut the price of all of their cars. Whenever that happens, if you cut the price of any product and you don't have a blaring great reason to do so, you're probably going to see that reflected in your stock price moving to the downside. And so that's another thing. You got a huge debate with the BYD Chinese auto manufacturer and their super inexpensive cars. I mean, you can get an EV for $10,000 in China. And then, you know, the Model 3 is the lowest price Tesla. And it shows in the cheapness, the way it's built. There are a lot of mistakes in terms of model to, or what do you call it? Not model, unit to unit. So there are a ton of mistakes. There are a lot of gaps. And like when you make an automobile, I don't know the technicalities, but there's like 3 things that always need to be in place. So you need the noise, the feeling, and like the rattling. Those aren't the technical terms for it. You go look them up. But Tesla has been kind of shitty on fulfilling all 3, especially with their Model 3. And so he's recently came out and announced that Tesla is going to unveil a lower price model Tesla again. And, you know, people are calling it the Model 2. It doesn't have an official name yet. People are calling it the Model 2. The biggest concern with that is it's just going to be a more shitty car than the Model 3. And the Tesla Cybertruck was kind of supposed to throw all that out of the window, but it didn't. And so Elon Musk is going through a fuck ton of bullshit right now. I don't know what they're going to do to turn it around, but this is all based on production. Their production numbers have also shot down, and they have like tens of thousands of cars sitting on lots around the world or America. And it's just not a good outlook for them right now. I think these problems will persist. So if you're a Tesla investor, if you haven't cashed out already, shit, you might as well wait. You might as well not take out your unless you bought down here. Other than that, if you bought up here, you might as well just hold, because I know Tesla will turn around eventually, but these problems will persist until, I don't know, I can see them still here in the next few years. So Tesla has like a lot of issues they need to take care of. And our largest EV auto manufacturer in America, I mean, that means a lot. So I'm just saying. So it's not looking good. It's not painting a great light on EVs as well. And if we want to be in accordance with the Paris Climate Agreement by 2050, yeah, it seems that's going to be pushed back. And people are expecting what, 48% or something like that, cars that are sold in the US to be EV by 2030. I don't think that's going to happen at all, 100%. And with their new universal charging ports as well, that's also going to, they still have to wait on approval for that. And so that's actually going to decrease the demand that they have, because what they did have going for themselves is the exclusivity side of it, in terms of, look, if you got a Tesla, we got all these chargers here. Everybody else, you got to go with all the fucked up chargers that don't work sometimes, all this good stuff. So that's actually going to hurt them in the long run as well. And so all this has been reflected in the stock price. I think it's going to persist. Tesla's going to have a shitty 2025.
I saw a lady who does like fortune telling a few years ago. She said that 2025 was going to be a tough year for Elon. Not sure if it means anything. Dead ass.
Wait, are you serious?
No, swear to God.
Okay, well, maybe she was right.
She did. She also predicted P. Diddy's downfall too.
Oh my God.
I'm just saying.
Look, now he's lying.
I do most of my trading with fortune
I'm
tellers.
gonna ask her what's gonna happen with Bitcoin. I'm gonna let everyone know. I'm just gonna run all my investments through her, and we'll get into that as we start to talk about mindset. No, I'm just joking.
We should invite her on.
Greg, you were sounding very convincing for a minute. I was like, fuck.
No,
is he
everything
joking?
else,
Fuck.
everything else I said was true. Like, not even joking.
Not P. Diddy, though.
No, dead ass. Swear to God, not joking.
He's not
Nah.
capping, bro.
No, I'm serious, bro.
Wow. Well, she
No
was
cap.
right.
And she's
And right on P.
Jay-Z's
Diddy.
next.
Fuck. I need to go to her. What my 2025 looking like?
Anyway, or Isaac, did you want to say anything on Tesla?
No, I think this is a good summation of the situation.
Love it. So no. All right. Let's talk about these cryptos, guys. You got Coinbase dipping with Bitcoin. You know, we had the halving the 19th. So what was that, last week, whatever that was? We got Bitcoin consolidating around previous all-time highs. Now, I want to see us, like I said last week, get above this $70,000 to $75,000 level. And I want us to have a close above it on the weekly, at least monthly, even better. And if we look here, the good thing is that we did have a green close above 60K. So that's a good sign. But we still need to keep it going, because you can see for the past few weeks, pretty much the past month, basically, Bitcoin's been it's just been going down. Now, I anticipated a post-halving dip as well as a pre-halving dip. Normally, 200 days after the halving is when the altcoin cycle is at its peak. And in order for the altcoin cycle to get there, Bitcoin has to have a blow off top, or at least historically it did. And just to be clear, in my opinion, in order to take Bitcoin to a $10 trillion asset or a $5 trillion asset, it has to be done by institutions, not retail, because they have all the money. But we can see that the ETF volume has been dwindling. You can see from day one, you know, they were purchasing 228, 2000. It was rising and rising. And now you can see that day 70, this is from 423, so yesterday, 568 from BlackRock, 524 at 853. This is a night and day difference from, you know, around March when Bitcoin went on its major rally. So I think that if the ETF volume doesn't start to pick up, Bitcoin's probably just going to continue to consolidate, and we might even drop down to 50, 55K. That's what my lowest is that I think we'll see for the cycle, but only time will tell. And this chart gives you just another view of it. You can see that in March, the accumulation was really, really high, but now we're around those February levels when it was really, really low. So it could just be like the ebbs and flows of the market. Like I said, I'm still bullish on crypto, especially this year. So we'll just kind of have to see. You know, the market has dipped all around, mainly because of Gaza and what's happening over there. And just because I think that, you know, we needed a bit of a correction. We got ETH breaking down as well. We touched 28, which is pretty crazy. It looks like ETH is trying to make support here, but, you know, we are anticipating an ETH ETF getting approved. I think it's a matter of when, not if.
I think that would hold way more weight than a Bitcoin ETF.
I agree.
I also don't see how Gaza is the Middle Eastern conflict right now, as of late with Iran. I don't see how that correlates to Bitcoin being suppressed in terms of price.
Do you think it affected the S&P and stocks? Because it seemed like when it happened, that's when stuff dropped, and then Bitcoin dropped after. That's my perspective.
Yeah, no, I got you. It's hard to tell, honestly, but I feel like markets these days, they're kind of like,
fuck what y'all thought.
Yeah, no, they're emotionless. It's like they don't really care. Oil markets, a different story. We've seen oil prices surge. And so, but energy always is kind of volatile as well. And so it's hard to tell, but it doesn't really seem like it's affected the markets, because that slight pullback that we've seen in the S&P and other major indices and equities period, it can be attributed to so many different things. And so, I mean, one could probably make a great case for it. I guess I just didn't see it. Yeah.
Who knows? I think the market will be able to shake it off, though. And then if we look at the total crypto market cap, we were trying to hold base at the $2.4 trillion level, but we kind of broke down below that. But these long wicks are saying that buyers are still kind of in control. So every time we drop down, it's being bought up. The dip is being bought. That is for one thing. And you can see stablecoin liquidity has been kind of rising. People are selling into stablecoins, but you can see those wicks. They're still getting into alts. So yeah, only time will tell. The plays that we've been calling out are still doing pretty well. Pendle has been our trade of the year. You got Maple has been breaking down we've been making some really good passive income inside of our liquidity pools. Made a lot of videos on the Maple ETH pair. So yeah, interesting
Damn,
time in
that
the
sun
market.
hitting, my boy.
Oh, me? Yeah, I know.
Isaac, what's your take on the markets right now, man? Anything new for you?
Oh, for me, I'm basically just doing the same strategy. I kind of concur with your assessment that, yeah, we usually have to wait like 200 days. It's like 220, 240 after the halving before we see the, the peak in altcoins, which is what I'm allocated into. So I'm just kind of holding steady and yeah, just waiting, I guess, for 200 days. I'm setting up my computer with Antoinette so that when I'm at boot camp, she can sell all of our assets and at the very top of the market.
Oh yeah,
That's good. That's
Isaac's
good.
going to the army, guys.
Oh yeah,
The few, the proud, the army. Say no.
is that it? Is that the saying? Is that the
No,
saying?
that's Marines, bro. That's hilarious.
The few, the proud, the army. Yeah, I think I get hazed for saying that.
You definitely would, man.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
I'll get some drill instructors like, the fuck did you just say?
That's so funny, man. I thought he was about to, either way, that would have been. You're a funny guy, bro. Anyway, so I think, especially at a time like this, I think it's more important to, like, if you're a full-time investor in the crypto space and what you do on a daily basis is research, trying to find projects that you should put your money into, try to dig below the surface. And what I mean by that is most people, oh yeah, I got Bitcoin, I'll just write it out. Oh my God. I don't know what's going to happen with Bitcoin. I always think Ethereum is going to be a better investment, but I think it's more important than ever in terms of massive gains, like the largest gains that you could capture. It's more important to find niche projects right now. And, obviously the niche that we've been focused on for the most part is RWA. And RWA is very general. There's a lot of different protocols that fits into that narrative. And I think it is important if you're, investing full time, like I said, to dig under the surface, figure out which projects are truly undervalued fundamentally, and make your decision from there. Because Bitcoin, yeah, we got some time before the halving affects the actual price to the upside. And look, it could go to 500,000. I'm never doubting that. For me, I will never buy Bitcoin. I'll never buy it because there's so many other projects out here with true value that I can actually explain. If someone were to ask me to explain the value of a Bitcoin, we're just going to debate. If there's any room for debate, we're going to debate. That's kind of my point. If there's any room for debate, not any room, but if there's that much room for debate, then maybe it doesn't have that inherent value that we all say it is, and it is more speculatory.
It was room to debate that Apple wasn't going to make it. Look at them now.
Okay, they were.
Wait, are we arguing that Bitcoin might not have a use case, or what's the?
Yeah.
Do you think that it has a use case?
I think that Bitcoin represents, this is kind of a ring around answer, but I think that Bitcoin represents the entire crypto space. Like it is to institutions, it is the most risk off investment that they can make. Also, the fact that you can't like modify it like you can with Ethereum and other such things makes it the most clearly not a security asset in crypto, which I think has provided a lot of regulatory clarity for institutional investors. Which, maybe I don't know if that's a use case, but it definitely made it very valuable for an investment.
Yes, no, I can agree. That's a good point for investability of an asset, but the use case is null. There isn't any. It's hit a critical mass to the point where institutions feel safe, so that way they don't have extreme volatility to the downside and 80% drawdowns like we did back in the day. So we're past those days. Other than that, even though it seems like a safer investment, it doesn't really have any fundamental value beyond that. And we can try to make it a digital store, digital gold, digital store value, whatever you want to say. But at the same time, there are true projects with utility across a broad swath of industries, sectors, whatever you want to call them, that actually have inherent value that are undervalued. And all I'm saying is actually is that you could probably find those easier than you could to determine the next ATH all-time high of Bitcoin.
Do you guys know the concept of Lindy?
Yes.
Lindy Effect?
Yeah, the Lindy Effect.
Yep.
Would you say that Bitcoin, because it was like the first crypto and it is the poster child of crypto, been around the longest, would have massive Lindy effect to it that would basically ensure that it's always going to have, even as a novelty, it's always going to have some inherent value?
And utility, because you can send billions of dollars across the network safely without having to worry about it, and it shits on Swift and every other payment network, which is a big utility for paying for shit in the world.
Okay, time out. Any blockchain can do that. That's not an inherent utility to Bitcoin.
But
so
people don't trust any other ones.
Okay, they are trusting them, and they are being built, and they're also being used. Bro, some institutions would trust the Ripple network over Bitcoin.
Not most.
That's straight. Not most, because Bitcoin, once again, has hit that critical mass. It's still speculatory. I don't care.
Well, that's like the whole point that we're saying.
Yeah, it has network effect or Lindy effect.
It's hit the critical mass, and that's the only. That doesn't mean it has inherent value because of the Lindy effect. 100%. It's Bitcoin, and it's the largest speculatory asset in history. And at this point, it is kind of like, how do I say? It
Je ne sais quoi.
only feels safe. It only feels safe because it is safer than most others at this point. That's it. That's it. Cross-border payments and all that shit, bro. Come on. You could spin up something tomorrow to do that.
I think that your assessment of the industry is actually far more speculative than crypto is.
Really?
I agree.
What do you mean?
You're speculating on future crypto uses that are like going to be adopted by industry that have the same, like I would say, a trust that Bitcoin has in it.
No,
Bitcoin. Hold on, let me finish my point, and then you can go. Bitcoin has utility in the fact of, you know, what our friend Vince said over here, but also that mixed with the fact that it's already being used by so many people. Like you can make like a better Amazon, which like, hey, look at this is on paper a better Amazon. It's quicker. It does X, Y, and Z, but it doesn't have the Amazon audience. It doesn't have the trust that me as a customer has in Amazon because I've used it. Bitcoin, because it has all those things and it's been around and it can't be changed, does give it this like, you know, this X factor, this cutting edge.
Yeah, that doesn't mean inherent value or utility. You can't say
how are we defining inherent value?
So I was just gonna ask. So first off, let me say this. So what you're saying is X factor / inherent value. They're not the same. You can't do that. There is no slash there. Now, what is the utility of Bitcoin? Just answer that. Just answer that.
I've said
I'll let Vince take it from here because I think he summed it up.
Based around what else?
You can use it as collateral. Bro, you got DeFi on Bitcoin now. Stacks. Bro, Bitcoin is non-Turing complete, and you got DeFi being built on Bitcoin now. So you have actual applications being built.
What is the utility of Bitcoin?
It's a platform, just like Ethereum is. I feel like every time every time I say a utility for Bitcoin, he's like, that's not real utility.
No. But I'm just trying to figure out, okay, so with Ethereum, you're building out an entire ecosystem, for example. I mean, that's very clear. I can literally just tell you. What you're naming is also speculation.
It's live. You
can use it may be live, but all these other protocols that I also just talked about in a general sense, you guys are saying that that's also a speculative way of looking at it. I could literally say the same about those little two niche aspects of Bitcoin, because anyone who buys Bitcoin from institution to retail, they either don't know, they don't give a fuck about what other things are happening under the hood. They're only buying it for speculation. That's it.
I disagree, but that's okay. We
can have these disagreements because we live in America.
It's funny because that was kind of how I started this. It's like whenever we get into a conversation about the inherent value of Bitcoin, it turns into a debate, and that's exactly what I mean. It should not be that way. It should be a lot more clear, and that's what inherent value is. It's not clear.
Yeah. Well,
there are aspects that are people are attempting to build within the ecosystem of Bitcoin, in order to basically prop up or create inherent value over time, but it's not there yet.
I will give you this. It is true, and this is a saying, that as soon as you have to explain yourself, you're already losing. And yeah, there's something to that. Though I will say in the crypto sphere generally, you have to basically explain everything. Like to someone who's not already like crypto native, I'm having to like debate with them and explain like everything to them. So like, but I do understand like when Bitcoin doesn't have as direct of a use case, it does make it a little bit, kind of touchy. It's kind of like hard. And that does mean you're losing in a certain way.
So if let's take a project like maplefinance, for example. If let's assume that they were already approved in the US regulatory framework, all this good stuff. If I'm pitching a maplefinance to an institution over Bitcoin, I think they would have an easier time accepting a maplefinance. It's private credit. They understand that we can run through the entire gamut of what the platform is right in real time. Look, boom, 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 boom. And they're like, oh, okay. We go Bitcoin, bro. We're going to talk for 4 hours, and they're going to probably be asking what I'm asking you. So what is the value? Like, what is it? What does it do? Why would I? So I'll just hold it.
It doesn't have to do anything for it to have value.
So I'll just hold it. Yeah, but the reason you want to hold it outside of speculation is because of the value.
Collateral.
The speculation has been so great.
I guess.
What's the value of gold?
I'm not debating gold.
Why not?
Because I'm not a gold bug, and
so you're like, don't buy gold.
I'm not saying don't buy gold, to each their own, but I'm just not a.
But your thoughts would be similar.
Even with gold,
like if we were to have this debate on gold, it'd be similar.
Even with gold, it's used in like 35% of our electronics. Just that one use case alone, that's pretty good. But
that's not though what gives it the value that it has, right?
No, hey, I'm not a gold bug. Remember that. Now,
okay,
also gold is really only used. Like if I were to ever buy gold,
I didn't want this video.
I only.
No, sorry, this is better anyway. Honestly,
real quick, I will only buy gold because I am truly scared of currency debasement. Other than that, bro, what the fuck am I buy gold for? Like when I was 18, the shit was at 1200. Now it's at 23. I'm 31. Why the fuck would I buy gold? How would that benefit me? I'm gonna be real. I'm not buying gold. So I wouldn't advise against or for it, to be honest.
All right.
I'll let others debate on gold. Did you have a greater point though?
No, I'm just drawing similarities between gold and like assets that have proven, staying power and value. That was my only point there.
Yeah. And also, I guess before gold was used as actual currency, Bitcoin is not. Maybe in a small subset of places it is, but in terms of ubiquity, like gold back in the day, it's not like that.
I mean, I would say that Bitcoin is the first digital native like store of wealth, right? It's like it is like the equivalent of like gold within the digital space. It's a slower time horizon or a smaller time horizon that we're dealing with. We're not dealing with like thousands of years of just like, inherent value, but we're also at the very beginning of the internet. And so within this space, within this technological space, it is like, like prehistory, dealing with this sort of stuff.
I can slightly agree. With that. I can.
All I ever wanted.
I can just because yeah, that's if there's anything, it can become a true store of value in the future, but that's about it.
All right. For shizzle. Sounds good.
Let us know what you guys think in the comments.
Well, guys, we appreciate y'all tuning in. Next week, we're going to have a good discussion on mindset. Isaac's been reading a lot of history on Greece. So definitely tune in next week because those principles apply to financial freedom and crypto as a whole, the values in general. So, yeah.
And feel free to leave your long-winded comments on what do you think the inherent value of Bitcoin is.
Or feel free to not. No, I'm just joking. Definitely leave the comments below. Let us know whose side y'all are on. And we appreciate y'all for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, and we'll see y'all in the next one.
Don't forget to tell your auntie.
Tell your aunts.